Back in early June, the Xbox Showcase dropped an unexpected but welcome surprise, and that was that Grounded 2 is officially on the way. This one is building on the success of the original, but this sequel does promise to expand every part of the overall experience. That being a richer narrative, deeper gameplay systems, and a ton of improvements based on player feedback. And one major fan requested feature is finally making its way in, as the devs aim to deliver a sequel that's not just bigger, but smarter and more engaging. This breakdown that I'm bringing you today dives into the 10 of the most significant changes coming in Grounded 2. With that, my name is Fletcher, and this is Xbox Nation. Make sure to subscribe down below for Xbox content every single day, and let's dive right in and check them out. First up, of course, the same group of 4 teens from the original Grounded do return, only this time the year is 1992, and they're a little older, more experienced, and facing threats on a much grander scale. Once again miniaturized though, they now find themselves navigating Brook Hollow Park, a location that dwarfs the backyard setting of the first entry. This larger, more diverse environment is packed with tons of unique zones, from dangerous underground bug hives to toxic zones, and even icy terrain shaped by a flipped ice cream truck. With each new biome offering its own visual identity and gameplay twists, exploration in Grounded 2 looks to promise to be more varied and surprising than we've ever seen before. I will note though that Obsidian have gone on record and have mentioned that Brook Hollow Park will be roughly 3 times larger than the first game, but during the early access period that dropped on the 29th of July, we'll only have access to about 20% of the overall map. This does mean we will see it being constantly expanded until the 1.0 launch, like we saw with the original Grounded experience a few years back now. I think one of the most requested features that I've seen from the Grounded's dedicated community is finally becoming a reality in this sequel, and is none other than bug riding. It's been on fans' wish lists for years at this point, and whilst the original game couldn't support it due to the Xbox One's limitations and the confined backyard setting, Grounded 2 is ready to deliver this massive new feature. Now, in a larger, more technically capable world, the ability to ride bugs, which are affectionately called buggies, is not only possible, but a core part of the overall experience. In Grounded 2 though, hopping onto your chosen insect isn't just a cool gimmick as you're probably thinking, it's actually a very central mechanic here. Whether you're dashing across open terrain, gathering vital materials, or charging into battle, your mount will play a meaningful role in every single part of the overall journey. The buggy system is deeply woven in traversal, combat, base building, and exploration, and from the start of the early access release, you'll be able to ride 2 very different bugs, that being the red ant soldier and the orb weaver spider, and each of them have their own unique abilities, perks, and so much more. Regarding the story, Grounded 2 does take place in 1992, and 2 years after the events of the original Grounded. As far as the public are concerned, Ominent, the malevolent corporation behind the events of the first game, are undergoing a bit of a redemption arc, as the company has now dedicated a statue to the 14 heroes that turned Dalton Schmechter into the authorities. However, the reality of the overall situation is a little bit more complicated than that though. During the unveiling ceremony in Brook Hollow Park, an explosion erupts, leading to an apparent disappearance of the kids and Dr. Tully, and we don't yet know if that's a distraction or a malfunctioning spark. In actuality, the teenagers have now been shrunken down and are fighting for survival in the grass below everyone's feet. You will take up the role of one of those puny protagonists and work to embiggen yourself once more, all whilst taking on the deadly threats found within the park and discovering who exactly is behind this plot to shrink you in the first place. A lovely little update, and one that will be very well received by many anticipating this game, is the removal of juggling 4 different tools in a cluttered inventory. Grounded 2 now introduces us with the Omni tool, a streamlined multifunction item that combines an axe, shovel, hammer, and wrench into a single piece of equipment. While it's not meant for combat, it does become essential for everyday survival, that being chopping, digging, smashing, and building without wasting that precious inventory space. It's a small but very smart change, reducing the tedium of constant item swapping and letting players focus more on the adventure that's at their hands. In a game where space and mobility are really key, the Omni tool is a quiet game changer in Grounded 2. One of the more surprising changes that I've actually come across is a temporary removal of zip lines, and this was actually a very popular traversal option in the first game. But don't be worried though, as it isn't a step backwards. According to the developers behind Grounded 2, removing certain legacy features like zip lines gives the new systems, particularly the buggy Mount system the space to evolve very naturally. By letting us players focus on mastering the new movement tools first, ziplines can then eventually return in a way that does enhance the game rather than clashing with it, especially around the more complex world design. They're not gone for good though, which is good news. It's just on hold until they can be reintroduced in a more integrated and meaningful way. The shift from a backyard to Brick Hollow Park though does bring with it a whole bunch of new ecosystems teeming with life and also danger. Already confirmed are new species like blue butterflies, caterpillars, snakes and formidable scorpions. But the world here feels so much more alive than just a checklist of different bugs. Praying mantises are now roaming freely, adding to that overall tension. Mosquitoes will also appear more frequently in the game's swampy regions, whilst cockroaches dominate the garbage-strewn toxic zones. It really turns a lot of these areas though into high-risk, high-reward spaces, and they're definitely worth diving into for those extra loot drops. Combine that with the park's expanded biomes from icy playgrounds to underground bug hives, Grounded 2 is clearly aiming for so much more variety, discovery and verticality in every inch of its playable world. Overall, combat in Grounded 2 has been reimagined with a greater sense of challenge and also nuance. The familiar blend of light and heavy attacks, blocking and stamina management does remain, but the AI has been tuned up significantly for a harder challenge. Enemy bugs now have access to a broader range of behaviours and also combat techniques, including the ability to dodge your attacks, which is a first for this series. To match this, players can also gain access to brand new dodge mechanics, allowing for quicker repositioning, evasive maneuvers, or just aggressive rushdowns. This single edition significantly deepens the combat strategy, especially when paired with rebalanced attacks and defense stats across different enemy types. Of course, fights as you can expect are no longer just about your gear levels, instead timing and spacing are more important than ever before. One of the most exciting gameplay enhancements that I've seen so far is coming in the form of the mutation system. In the original Grounded, mutations mostly acted as passive boosts, but in this sequel they're now evolved into active, flexible tools that define how you play. Now players can build towards specific archetypes like high-speed rogues, poison-wielding assassins, or durable, slow-moving tanks. If you want to be a stealthy backstabber with dual daggers and stamina to spare, that is now possible thanks to the active mutations that influence dodge recovery, attack style, and combat abilities. The system does encourage experimentation though, and the ability to mix and match abilities allows for the hybrid classes and unique survival strategies. This does mean that in co-op, your group can now function more like a proper RPG party, with each player specialising in a role that complements the others as well.
You'll be so proud to have been there from the beginning. You might even, feel something.
So, what are your thoughts on Grounded 2, and are you going to be diving into the early access when it lands onto the Xbox consoles and PC this week? You'll have to let me know down below. I will have a review going up a bit later on this week once I get my hands on the game, so make sure you're subscribed down below so you don't miss out on that video. Do smash that like button if you enjoy these sorts of preview videos, and whilst here, why don't you check out my most recent video as I cover the upcoming games for this week, and to see if any of them are actually worth your time and money.